Hello students, welcome to StudyIQ. So in this session we will be continuing with sociology, and here we are going to talk about the problem of objectivity and value neutrality. So this is a topic from your chapter 2, paper 1 chapter 2. So this is paper 1 chapter 2. So there is a topic fact, value, objectivity. Even though the topic is like that, if you see the previous year papers, the questions are asked directly like this: problem of objectivity and value neutrality. That means what are the problems in ensuring objectivity in sociological research? That is a main question which is always asked. Apart from that, in the previous year, if you see, the question was like objectivity and value neutrality. Then you need to say what is objectivity, what is value neutrality, is there any difference between these two? Okay, see, both are almost same, but there is a small technical difference that I'll explain here. Actually, value neutrality is one of the means to achieve objectivity. The problem which is related to objectivity will be because of personal biases, right? And this personal biases will come from different values which are there in society. I'll explain all these and how to ensure objectivity. You remain neutral from these values. These values can be related to religion, region, ethnicity, gender. It could be anything. So remain neutral in terms of value. That's what value neutrality. So value neutrality is actually a precondition for ensuring objectivity. So 99% it's almost the same. If you are value neutral, means almost objectivity is there. Okay, apart from that, there are some other elements also need to be taken care to ensure objectivity in sociological research. That's exactly what we are going to see. So like every other discussion, what we will do here is we will try to develop a context for this discussion. So once we understood the context, you will be in a position to write the body easily. Okay. So the context, if you see any question from the first 3 chapters, I've told you, you have to mention about the emergence of sociology. Everything is actually connected with emergence of sociology in the first 3 chapters. Okay. So emergence of sociology, you need to write in one line here. You can't write too much. So in that you need to accommodate modernity, you need to accommodate social changes and everything. So how will you write that? I've already given you the sentence in this previous discussions. So sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. So we have discussed everything about modernity in that particular line. Okay, and then what happened? So we talked about emergence of sociology. Okay, then what happened? Then what happened was the initial sociologist tried to make sociology on the line similar to natural sciences. There is a reason for that, because when sociology emerged, it was in 1838. It is relatively a very young discipline. So to get that acceptance among the academicians or the intellectuals, or to get that initial legitimacy of this particular subject, you need to tell that it is similar to science, because that time there is a general obsession towards science was there among academicians, among intellectuals, and even among the public also. So if you say this subject is similar to natural science or this subject is scientific, then only it will be accepted. It will be accepted as a new discipline. So initial sociologists had this concern always, and you can see that concern in different understandings. Like if you see, I have discussed about Auguste Comte. So when we discussed about scope of sociology, I have told you Auguste Comte claimed to make laws of social organization, and in fact he made laws of social organization similar to the natural sciences, like Newton's laws, etc. Okay, but all those were proved wrong later because of a lot of logical errors. But what I'm saying is they all attempted to do the same thing. And if you see, Saint Simon initially thought of social physics on the lines similar to natural science physics. And Herbert Spencer, when we have discussed, I've told you, he compared society with an organism. And we have seen that exact comparison, society, organism, right? And then subgroups in society, subsystems in society with organs. Then we have seen those comparisons in the groups with tissues, and finally individuals with cells. So that proper comparison we have seen. Okay, so from all these, what you can understand is the initial sociologists were always concerned to make sociology on the line similar to natural science, and they have tried to use the methods directly from natural science in sociological studies also. And this arised a question always, whether sociology is a science or not, and that question we have addressed in the previous session. And we have also seen the difference in subject matter with respect to sociology and natural science. What is the subject matter in case of natural science? It is matter, which do not have any consciousness, the behavior of which can be predicted easily in terms of cause and effect relationship. Whereas sociology studies human being, the behavior of which cannot be predicted. So you cannot establish cause and effect relationship and you cannot study objectively. Whereas in case of natural science, since it is matter, you can predict it and you can study objectively the cause and effect relationship. But that is not possible in case of sociology as you are dealing with human beings. But we try to ensure maximum possible objectivity by using scientific methods, etc. That's exactly what we are going to discuss in this particular session. So again, I'm telling you, when you talk about natural science, for example, if you take if I'm saying if you boil the water at 100 degrees Celsius, it doesn't matter when you're boiling, it doesn't matter where you're boiling, it will get hot for sure. That means you can predict the behavior. Okay, so how it will function, how it will act, you can predict, but that may not be the case with human beings. The same human beings may behave differently in the similar situation itself. Okay, so I hope you understood this discussion we have already done in the previous session, so I'm not getting into that again. So what I'm saying is initial sociologists, they wanted to make sociology on the line similar to natural science. So they started using methods, and this question is always there, whether sociology can be studied objectively or not like natural sciences. That initial sociologists tried to do that, they attempted to do that, but is that possible? Is that desirable also? If you ask me, is that desirable? Absolute objectivity is not desirable in sociology. Is it possible? It is not possible also. Okay, so ultimately this is going to be our conclusion, and it's not my opinion, it's the opinion of a famous sociologist, Weber, and you will be quoting exactly like this towards the conclusion. Absolute objectivity, which is as desirable in natural science, is not desirable in sociology and is neither possible also. Why it is not possible? Because you are dealing with human beings whose behavior cannot be predicted, and you cannot establish cause and effect relationship. You cannot predict anything. So you can't conduct objective study with respect to human beings. See, you are studying human beings, so there will be bias, and human beings are studying human beings, there will be further biases, right? See, objectivity, now so I hope you understood the context. Now let's talk about what is objectivity. So this is how your debate is going. Now we will talk about what is objectivity, and I'll also tell you what is value neutrality here. Then we will see what are the areas in sociological research you will be compromising objectivity. That means where all the problem of objectivity will be arised in the sociological research. Okay, so where you face problems. And then we will talk the solutions. How can you solve these problems? And then we will conclude. So this should be the flowchart, or this could be your skeleton of your answer. The way they ask question doesn't matter. You can fit the contents accordingly. Okay. So we have done with this context. I hope you understood the context. Sociology emerged. Initial sociologists attempt towards making sociology similar to natural science. They use the methods of natural science. Even inductive method also they have used. Inductive method I have discussed already. All these are specifically used in natural sciences, and deductive method is more suitable in sociology. If you know you are using deductive method. Deductive method means first you make a hypothesis and you collect data and you try to prove that. So if you are using deductive method, there is no question of subjectivity or objectivity, because in deductive method an element of subjectivity is expected and nobody is going to question that. But if you are using inductive method, that is specifically used in natural science, so objectivity is questioned. So here we are going to talk primarily about inductive method, where you face problem if you are following inductive method in sociology. Okay, and there are certain steps in inductive method: accumulation of data, interpretation of data, theory building, etc. So in all these areas, objectivity could be compromised in sociology, and we will see that. Okay. So now what do you mean by objectivity? Objectivity simply means freedom from personal biases. Okay. So freedom from personal biases. So there should not be any personal bias. Now if you remember when we discussed about, for example, if you take 1857 revolt. Okay, so 1857 revolt, I have discussed it already in our history discussions, and I've given you a lot of statements by different people, different historians. And if you see, some Indian historians have given, some English historians also have given, and I've told you that you may get critically analyzed question, discuss question. In mains, they will ask questions like that only. You'll get a statement and they'll ask you to discuss, comment, critically analyze, and I've told you each words are significant, whether it is comment, critically analyze, and I've also told you how to write the answers. That is different thing that we'll do in the answer writing sessions. In sociology also later we will have that, and we will do that. Okay, and you can attend the test series and we can do that. You can get in touch with me for that here. Okay, so when we discussed about 1857 revolt, the two groups, mainly Indian historians and English historians. What the Indian historians write, primarily like, for example, if you take V.D. Savarkar, he's writing like it was the first national war of independence, right? On the other hand, what the English historians write, it's like it's a clash between civilization and barbarianism. So you can see the different viewpoints. They are putting it in different perspectives. So civilization means they are civilized, and barbaric means we are barbaric. But actually, who were civilized and who were barbaric was a different question. Okay, so here English and Indian is writing, so their perspective will be different. Okay, so similarly, if you see history is biased against South Indians. Why? Most of the historians are North Indians. History is biased against Muslims. Most of the historians are Hindus. History is biased against female, because most of the historians are male. So again, I've told you there, when you're writing the answer, you should not be an English or an Indian. You should not be an upper caste or lower caste. You should not be a North Indian or a South Indian, or male or a female, or Muslim or a Hindu. You should be knowing the facts. 1857 revolt, you know, for example, if you take, you know, the causes, you know, the how it proceeded, how it operated. Is it only military causes to say that it's a mutiny? No, there are many other things also involved, right? So without being all these Hindu or Muslim or North Indian or South Indian, put that facts. That's what you mean by objective understanding. Okay, so you need to write your answer objectively. Exactly the same here also. There should not be any personal bias. You should not show that you are a Hindu. You should not show that you are a South Indian. You should not show that you are a female. For example, if a female conducting a study on domestic violence, she may come up with an understanding which will be totally different from a male conducting a study on domestic violence. And especially if the female is subjected to domestic violence, the study may be totally different. Now, for example, one female who's subjected to domestic violence because of alcoholism. She is an academician and she is conducting a study. So she first make the hypothesis in her mind that it is because of alcoholism. Domestic violence is because of alcoholism, and you know, she will try to prove that only. Otherwise, she will, when she collect data, her own experience is that if not, she might have experienced, her friends might be experienced like this, so she collect data from those friends who's facing the problem of you know, alcoholism and domestic violence. But there may be many other reasons also. Okay, so personal bias will be a factor if you are conducting study in social science for sure. So how can you compromise objectivity? It is because of personal bias. What is objectivity? Freedom from all these personal bias. And can you remain objective in social science? It is very difficult, but you should remain objective. Okay, so that's what all about this particular topic. You should be objective. That means you should not be, you know, favoring anything. Okay, not your religion, not your region, not your caste, not your gender, nothing. Okay, so it should be like freedom from personal biases. Now, from where these bias will come? These personal biases will come from values. So this personal biases will come from values. What do you mean by values? Values, we all carry values. Values means some set of ideas that we all carry in our mind, which decides desirability and undesirability of certain things, or preferability or rejection of certain things. For example, if you talk about patriarchal value, what is the desirability? Male child is desirable and female child is rejected, undesirable, right? So that patriarchal value decides the desirability or undesirability about your child. Okay, so I hope you understood. Value means certain ideas that we carry in our mind that decides the desirability and undesirability about a particular item which is in question. Okay, so value can be related to religion, it could be related to ethnicity, it could be related to gender, it could be related to anything. Okay, it could be related to region, caste, anything. Okay, so I may be a male, so maybe I am oriented towards the patriarchal values. Okay, so like that, values will be different for different people. And how it is formed because of upbringing, it is because of society, the kind of society that you're living, it's your family, your religion, all are playing key role in, you know, determining the values of the individual. So that will be formed, that will be there in your mind. These are the ideas that you carry about certain things. So this values will create personal biases. Okay, so these values will create personal biases, and that personal biases will affect objectivity. So objectivity means freedom from all these biases. That means if you need to be free from all these biases, you should be value neutral. You should ignore all those values which is there in your mind. For example, patriarchal value. I should not be, I should not having a patriarchal mindset if I'm conducting a study on anything. Okay, similarly, if I'm a keep the value of Muslims in conducting a study. I should see things objectively. And if I'm a South Indian, I should not keep that point of view in mind when I'm conducting a study about India. I should not be biased against North India. So I hope you understood these values are already there in your mind. No doubt these values are there. But when you're conducting a study, these values should not affect your study. That means there should not be any personal bias. That means you should be value neutral. So one of the means of achieving objectivity is value neutrality. So I hope you understood what I mean to say. It is very obvious that I have a lot of limitations when I'm talking, to camera. But if you are attending the regular classes, it would have been very easy for you to understand. Okay, because I can convince you in any way. So objectivity, it is because of personal bias. Personal bias is because of values. So what you need to do to ensure objectivity? Value neutrality. So value neutrality is a precondition of ensuring objectivity. Okay, so I am expecting that you understood and I'm moving forward. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me. That's my Instagram ID. You can join the Telegram channel here. You get all my videos over there. So history is there, economy is there, ethics is there, all quantitative aptitude is there, everything is there, sociology is there. So it's actually a one-stop solution for your complete civil service preparation. You get everything over there. And still, if you need to write answers, or if you need regular classes, online classes already with StudyIQ, you can attend that videos in StudyIQ itself, the classes. Or if you need any help related to your evaluation of your answers, or if you need to write a test on sociology or GS, you can get in touch with me. This is my number, 9790-892-697 or 98955-77775. You feel free to contact me for your preparation related to civil services. Okay, so I'll evaluate your paper and we can have a live interaction also. So I hope you understood. That's about objectivity. So context you understood, what is objectivity you understood, and how you compromise objectivity you understood. It is because of values. So what you need to do to remain objective? Freedom from all personal biases. Now let's look into the areas in sociological research where you compromise objectivity. So for example, if you talk about inductive approach, what are the steps in inductive approach? First of all, collection of data, or let me write accumulation of data. Accumulation of data. Now for accumulation of data or for data collection, there are different methods. And what we will do is, there is another teacher who's taking about research methodology. In that, she will talk about, observation, survey method, interview, every research methods will be covered in detail. She's an expert. Otherwise, entire syllabus will be covered by me, except that particular chapter, research methods. Even I can do that, but there is another expert who can do that particular chapter. Third chapter will be done by herself, and apart from that, the entire sociology will be done by me. Okay, accumulation of data, there are different methods, but whatever method you use, there is a problem of subjectivity, or there is a problem of personal bias. For example, if you use survey method, the survey that you're conducting is based on your convenience. The sample size that you're selecting may be based on your convenience. Okay, and similarly, participant observation. I'll talk about a very famous study of Italian criminals by William White today itself. He in fact started studying the Italian criminals as a non-participant observer, just stay away and observe. Finally, he became a participant non-observer because of the bias. Okay, so and again, if you talk about interview method, so interviewer is there, interviewee is there. There can be bias for both people, right? If I am an interviewer, I will frame the questions based on my own bias. The questions which I have framed, there will be definitely bias from my side. Another aspect, if the interview is answering to that question, that bias of that particular person will also be there. He may not answer all the questions correctly also. In his mind, something will be there, and he will simply smile inside and he'll answer something else. Okay, and when he is answering, there will be a bias also. Okay, so in all these, all these information that you collected itself was colored by the personal biases. Then what is the second step? Second step is interpretation. Interpretation of data. See, interpretation is again by using various viewpoints, right? For example, I've told you when we discussed about functionalist. The functionalist will try to explain everything in functional terms. They try to see everything in functional terms. Something exists in society means it is necessarily fulfilling certain functions, and that's why it is existing in society. And its existence is permanent and is inevitable also, because society making it sure that these items are there in society for the functioning of society. For example, certain rate of crime is normal in society according to functionalist. Otherwise, what will happen? If no crime is there, no police, no judicial system will not be there, they won't function. Okay, so suddenly something big happens, the entire system will collapse and the social order will be in problems, so total chaos will be there. So certain rate of crime is normal to keep a check on the policing and judicial systems, etc. So that is normal. Certain rate of suicide is normal. So all these are justified by the functionalist. Okay, similarly, inequality is justified. I've told you society can never be egalitarian. The so-called communist and socialist society, that is not possible. There is no equality. If you talk about China or Russia, there is no equality. Some or the one or the other forms of inequality will be there in all society. All known societies, if you take one or the other forms of inequality is there, right from ancient mode to feudal mode to capitalist mode. And Marx is talking about socialism and communism. That concepts are utopian concepts that will never come into existence. The Chinese version and the Russian version is their own version. That's not Marxian idea. Marxian version of socialism and communism is entirely different to what actually practiced. Okay, so now if you ask me why Chinese and Russian version is a failure, you can simply say these are not the concept of Marx, and that will never come into existence. That's actually a utopian concept that will never come. It is never possible. A total egalitarian society will not be possible because society will not function. And society maintaining that inequality. Rich is there, poor should be there. Poor is there, rich should be there. It has to be there. If everybody is equal, society cannot function. Okay, but here when you're interpreting, suppose you're a functionalist, there may be a bias that even the extreme forms also you will try to justify. I've told you certain rate of crime is normal, but as a functionalist you may even try to justify a rape of a minor child. That is not desirable, right? Because you are already branded as a functionalist. Now you can't change your perspective, you can't criticize. So in that context, you may be trying to justify the extreme forms. Extreme forms of inequalities you may justify. That's not required. Okay, so manual scavenging, it is there, it has to be there. All these are extreme forms, so although it is not desirable, but it is there and it will be there despite different measures have been taken by government. It will be there, it will continue in one or the other way, but you will try to justify. So there is no point in doing that. Extreme forms of inequality, no point in doing that. Extreme forms of crimes, no need to do that. Because of bias, you are doing that. Okay, I hope you understood what I mean to convey. Again, after interpretation, theory. So when it comes to theory building, what is the problem is, I'll give you an example, theory of religion by Durkheim and Weber. So same theory, religion, and Durkheim is a functionalist. He is trying to see everything in functional terms. In fact, you're going to study this theory, so you'll be having a better idea. I'll be taking this for you. Okay, so Durkheim is studying religion in a functional terms. So he's trying to see this in functional terms. He's trying to identify the functions of religion. He's saying religion integrate people. Okay, on the other hand, Marx is talking about religion by using a conflict perspective. So he's trying to identify the dysfunctions of religion. According to him, religion is a hurt of hurtless world, soul of soulless condition, and just an opium of masses. It is opiating masses. So it is actually created by the capitalist, and opiating the workers by saying that you suffer maximum in this world, you will get heaven in the next world. So that is what religion actually propagating. So because of religion only, capitalists are actually surviving by motivating the workers to work and get exploited in this world. So I hope you understood. Both are writing in the same material context of 19th century Europe, but different opinions. Why? Because of different perspective, because of bias. Okay, so otherwise also value loaded information you collected and value loaded interpretation will result into value loaded theory only. There is no doubt. Even if you use the same perspective, still theory will be different. Okay, so these are the areas in which you will compromise objectivity in sociological research. And how can you, now let's go to the solution. How can you ensure objectivity? So if you talk about solution, first thing that you can say is, proper training of the investigator. Training of investigator. So you train the investigator properly, you can ensure objectivity. So according to Weber, training is a basic prerequisite for objective sociological research. Then what you can say is, you can make available the researches for organized skepticism. Organized skepticism. Organized skepticism means, one person who's conducting the research, he will present his ideas within his group of academicians, okay, who in the same field like this, and they will also provide some in-depth to the particular topic. So not only your point of view, others' point of view will also be incorporated, so that you can remove some personal bias from that. So organized skepticism. Then you can also use scientific methods. All these scientific methods like ideal types, social facts, causal pluralism, etc. we will discuss in detail in different chapters, and in fact all these are short notes also, but here you will just write as examples. These are the methods which could be used to ensure objectivity in sociological research. So scientific methods could be used. So in all these ways you can actually try to ensure maximum possible objectivity. Now if the question is about absolute objectivity, is that possible? It is never possible. Why? Because you are dealing with human beings. You are dealing with human beings whose behavior can never be predicted. You cannot establish cause and effect relationship objectively, no doubt. But sociologists can try to ensure maximum possible objectivity with proper training, organized skepticism, use of scientific methods, etc. So I hope you can write a very good conclusion also. Now, what we can do is we can move to the PDF. Okay, so normally what I do in the class is I'll explain this concept. So this much time I've taken for explaining the concept, then I'll dictate it. So this topic, if I'm dictating, it will take more than 1 hour, but I'm not taking that time. What I've done is I've taken the notes of one of my student. Okay, so I'll read it out and I'll explain between the lines, because between the lines you need to read, and some concepts which I might have missed out, I'll cover it in this area. And the PDF of this video will be available in my Telegram channel. So you can get that here in the Telegram channel, or you can get in touch with me. You don't want to write down the notes now. Okay, so just follow now, download the Telegram channel, that PDF, and then what you can do is, if you want, you can attend the video again, just keeping that notes with you, so it will be printed in your mind. That's how we are conducting the sessions. Okay, all these discussions is to the point of exam. I'm not talking anything extra. I'm not leaving anything for chances also. I'm discussing whatever is required for exam. If you see the question papers and the syllabus, unnecessarily you don't see emergence of sociology. I have seen some notes where talking about 60-70 pages. Is that required for you? No, you can't write all of these. Okay, but what you need is what you can reproduce, and I'm giving you exactly to the point for exam. Nothing else is required, and I'm guaranteeing you for paper 1, apart from my notes, you don't want to read anything else, and maybe Harlem you can read for some more conceptual clarity. Apart from that, you don't want to. Paper 2 you need to read. I'll tell you what you need to read also. Okay, so let's get started with the PDF. Okay, problem of objectivity and value neutrality. So what you will write in the beginning, you will write about emergence. I missed out here, but any question from first 3 chapters you have to write about emergence. Sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. That should be your first sentence in all answers of your chapter, the first 3 chapters. Now, initial sociologists, what they did, they tried to develop sociology similar to natural science. In this context, one of the most important preconditions for any body of knowledge to qualify as science was objectivity and value neutrality. Objectivity means freedom from personal biases in sociological investigation. The personal biases flow from different types of values exist in society. Okay, I've told you. So problem is this. Personal bias is the problem. How personal bias? Because of values. What is values? Value is an idea through which individual evaluates the desirability and undesirability of anything. I've told you that. There are a large number of values like religion, inequalities, which may create biases. Thus, what is required to be objective is freedom from all these personal biases or value neutrality. So, to remain objective, what you need? Value neutrality. So, one of the means to achieve objectivity is what? Value neutrality. Okay, now according to Weber, there is one more concept here. You can be objective even by accommodating value in sociological research, because you are dealing with human beings. The subject matter in sociology is different. That we will discuss when we discuss about Weber in detail. What I'm saying is, here what I've told is, if you need to be objective, you need to be completely value neutral. But according to Weber, you can ensure objectivity in sociological research even by incorporating values also. We will discuss about this later in detail. Okay, so you need to, I'm taking you from the scratch to slightly higher level. So if you're an expert watching this video, you already know what I mean to say here. If you are a beginner, you don't worry, I'll be discussing that in detail when we discuss about Weber. Okay, so this value neutrality is a basic precondition for achieving objectivity. Since its emergence as a distinct discipline, sociology is often accused of facing the problem of objectivity. The critics of sociology asserted that objectivity is not always possible in sociology. Now, the problem occurs at various levels in sociological research. As I have told you, accumulation of fact. Although sociology uses a number of scientific methods like observation, questionnaires, interview, etc., all these methods will be discussed in detail, and obviously you will get a question from this directly. One question is for sure from research methods. But in application of these methods, the value biases of the researcher may hinder the achievements of objectivity. For example, the observation method is often accused of generating faulty information due to the bias of the observer. In the famous study of Italian criminals by William White, the observant finally stopped acting as an observer, generating no information. I've told you this. He stated that I started as a non-participant observer and ended as a participant non-observer. Similarly, in the same manner, the interview method may generate faulty information because of the biases of the interviewers and interviewee. Okay. Interpretation of facts. Now, the interpretation of facts can also be colored by various viewpoints or subjective biases. For example, a researcher with a functional bias may tend to interpret some extreme forms of inequalities in functional terms. I've told you, extreme forms of crime like minors, rape, etc. Rape of minors, etc. Okay. Now, third step, formulation of theory. Already value loaded information you collected and value loaded interpretation you have done. So it is expected that the theory will also be affected by subjectivity, but it could be also affected by the perspective. Even if you are collecting information properly and interpretation is properly, still perspective can differ when it comes to theory building. Okay, that's the point. So value loaded interpretation of facts may generate theories which give only one-sided view of reality. That means partial, that means biased. Thus, the resulting theories is influenced by the bias of the investigator. For example, Durkheim generated a functional theory of religion, whereas Marx considered religion as opium of masses. I've told you this. I don't want you to have any confusion, but we will be discussing this theory in detail when it comes to the thinkers, and I myself will do that. Okay. Both were writing in the same material context present in the 19th century. So in this way, the problem of objectivity influences sociological investigation. Ensuring objectivity has been the main concern of sociologists since its emergence. Various steps have been suggested in due course of time to help sociology to achieve objectivity. These includes proper training of the investigator, organized skepticism, and use of scientific methods. That's what I'm going to talk about here. Objectivity can be ensured by proper training of the investigator. The investigator should confine itself to his own area of competence and should be properly trained to use the methods. For example, Weber considered training as an essential prerequisite for ensuring value freedom. Objectivity can be ensured by making available the results for the investigation to organized skepticism. That means a group will come, sit together, they will discuss the drawbacks, etc. They will also provide viewpoints that could be incorporated in the research. So more viewpoints, that means more reliable will be the understanding. Okay. Then sociology has attempted to deal with the problem of objectivity by propagating various concepts which helps in ensuring objectivity. Since its inception, sociology has formulated scientific methods to be used in sociology, and these are the methods, examples. We will be discussing all these in detail. Social facts by Durkheim, indirect experiment by Durkheim, okay, causal pluralism or causal probabilism, and ideal types by Weber. All these will be discussed in depth when it comes to thinkers, and you will never face any problem in thinkers. And in fact, that's my strong area, thinkers. Okay, so we'll do it beautifully. Just wait for that. We are developing from the beginning. We are developing, so we'll go to that level. Okay, and I'll take you to a much higher level in sociology. Don't worry about that, and you will score very good also. Okay. So some sociologists even went to an extent of suggesting that sociology should refrain from studying what ought to be. You don't want to study what ought to be, like what it should be. If that is your concern, then there is a possibility of subjectivity. Instead, if you're studying what it is, currently what it is, you can study it objectively. So to ensure objectivity, you can study what it is. Don't study what should be in the future or what ought to be. You don't study that. You can study currently the situation. That's the best method to ensure objectivity. But if you remember, in the emergence of sociology, I've told you various social problems we have discussed associated with modernity, and sociology emerged to explain all these problems, provide solution, and also to predict future of society like some natural sciences. But here what they're saying is, don't study what ought to be, rather study what it is. If that is the case, you can ensure objectivity. What ought to be, what should be, what is going to be the future, etc. That's the role of natural science. You can't do like natural science because you're dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with matter. You can predict matter. You can't predict human beings. So I hope this discussion is clear for you. Okay, if you have any doubt, if you want to study or learn sociology with me, you can get in touch with me here. Any of this Telegram channel or my number I have given you already, 9790 892 697 98955 77775 for test series or getting your papers evaluated, and then we will have a discussion also. So for regular or online classes with StudyIQ, okay, anything, you can feel free to get in touch with me related to your preparation. So see you guys. Thank you.